Hey everybody, welcome back to Everyman Prepping. Hope everybody had a great weekend. And today I want to kind of get into the story of how I think Russia is trying to sell it to their population. They're trying to get their population to call for a first strike. I think they're trying to lay that groundwork. They want their population to say, yes, we need to do a first strike on a nuclear basis. We need to go first before it comes here because it's going to be better if we take them out rather than we have nuclear weapons dropping on us and we have to retaliate. So I think that's going on. They're building up to it. We're going to go through all those stories here in a minute. But first, I have something else. Let's get into it really quick. Is we talked about the shutdown. I talked about it over the weekend. I didn't do a video, but I posted some stuff on the community page and on Twitter. And I do that a lot. If you want to get the most current news that I see out there, if it didn't make the video or I didn't do a video that day, you'll mostly find it on my Twitter, on the community notes or community page here in YouTube. So check that out. Twitter, it's just Everyman Prepper is my name on Twitter. The link is always in the description if you want to join us there, but try to put the most up-to-date stuff there. But I want to address you really quick today on Monday here. And the shutdown was averted. They funded the government through November 17th, as you can see here. Also, thanks for everybody that's been liking the channels and the videos recently. Really appreciate it. If you haven't, please hit that like button. It really helps us creators out, helps spread this message out to people that might not have seen it. That's what we're trying to do here, is just kind of educate everybody out there, get everybody prepared into prepping and all that. So thank you all for that. Also, the sharing and the subscriptions to the channel, very much appreciated. But you see, 45 days were funded. Kind of the hilarious thing here is that through this November 17th, when it ends, they funded it at a rate of 1.6 trillion a year for fiscal year 2023, as you can see. However, if you've been paying attention, heard what I've been saying, is the last 3 months, they did $1 trillion in 3 months, which is like $4 trillion a year. So don't believe this 1.6 trillion annual rate. That's bogus. They're on pace for about $4 trillion a year, which is going to kill us. Anyway, the other thing I want to point out, it omits additional aid for Ukraine. So they're saying that no more aid for 45 days to Ukraine. So what does that mean? Well, keep your eyes open for something to happen that's going to make the media out there, the government say, we need to do it. We need to send them aid. We know we said no for 45 days, but look at what happened. We need to do it. And that's going to happen. So, in my opinion. So the next 45 days, look for a false flag, the media to really hone in on something Russia did to say, well, we can't wait 45 days. We got to do it now. We got to spend more money. So look for that to happen. I think it's definitely coming. What do you guys think? Put your comments below what you think, but I think it's definitely coming. Well, let's get into what I want to talk about. And that's his first strike. The official word from leaders is don't fight a nuclear war. It's not winnable. No one wants to start it. All that jazz. But as you can see, last year, last December, it says here, Russian President Vladimir Putin announces that Russia is considering adding a first strike to its military strategy, in which Russia could use nuclear weapons to disarm an opponent. I fully believe they did implement that. And, it started like about a year ago where he starts putting the feelers out there. Hey, this first strike thing might not be such a bad idea. And then, of course, we have this. We have Russia prepares nationwide drills with nuclear war scenario. So this is where they're going to their public now. We're going to look at a Newsweek article, and I have one from Liberia. I like to get all kinds of sources because you kind of get different views. Maybe it's somewhere in the between. These are kind of similar, but we're going to go through two different news sources here. But basically, October 3rd, tomorrow, if you're watching this on the 2nd here, that there's going to be a nationwide, never happened before, nuclear drill, simulating nuclear attack on Russia. And like I said, you're going to make it look so bad. You're going to propose it, I believe, to the Russian people that this is what happens if we get hit by nuclear weapons. Look how horrible it is. Kind of getting them, in my opinion, to say, hey, why don't we strike them first? Let's, the great defense is a good offense, whatever you want to call it. Let's go on the attack, decimate them now so these don't come here. And we don't have to endure what this test is going to show. And what are they going to show? Well, it says Russian authorities will hold large-scale drills across the country on October 3rd, like I mentioned, because of the growing danger of armed conflicts with nuclear-capable powers near Russia's borders. I want you to hone in here on nuclear-capable. They don't say nuclear, countries that have nuclear weapons. This is nuclear-capable. What is nuclear-capable? Well, if you have the means to launch or to have a plane that can launch nuclear weapons, you're capable. This is all of NATO. Even if you don't have, you got, France and UK that have nuclear weapons. Well, if you include anyone that has an F-35 or F-16, they can launch nuclear warheads. This includes Ukraine when they get them. So everybody's nuclear capable if you have the platform to fire a nuclear warhead. So they're just saying anybody with that capability of that weapon system could attack us. So that kind of a little more fear into their countrymen. Get them to, I think, convince them, let's go first. All right, this is the first time that Moscow has held such drills. It's going to go across all 11 time zones, the whole country. It's going to imagine Russia is going to be under partial or full military law at that point. They're going to simulate 70% of the country's housing facilities will have been destroyed. So when this is, imagine being over there. Imagine the United States. The U.S. did a drill, which we haven't because the United States doesn't prepare its people. And they said we're going to simulate 70% of all the United States destroyed. They spark a little fear in the people. They're going to say, well, what should we do? Maybe we should go after them first. That's what I think is happening here. So 70% of the housing has been destroyed. Possibility of radioactive contamination. So people are going to see how horrible radioactive contamination is. The sickness, the bleeding, the hair falling out, all that stuff that comes with it. Like I said, I think they're installing fear to get a reaction of, let's go first. Okay, leaders and officials from across Russia, a society, quote, from civil defense leaders to heads of corporations will take part in the drills. So it's just not the military. I know a lot of corporations in Russia are owned by basically the government, but it's business, it's military, it's going to be people. They're going to make sure everybody knows how horrible this is and how horrible it is if you get hit first and you didn't attack first, I believe. So that's what's going on in that one. Now let's go to this one from GNN Liberia. Same thing. Basically, it says a one-day nuclear exercise, 70% of housing going down, martial law imposed, so everything's the same there. What we have here, though, is also something else is added that wasn't in the article, is the test will also model the secondary threat posed by damage to nuclear power plants and other key facilities. So they're also going to say, hey, if you live next to these nuclear power plants, you're going to have radiation. This could be harmful for you. More fear, more wanting the population to decide, I think, let's go first. Other key facilities, maybe biological releases, biological weapons could be released. Who knows, but this article says they're going to go after that as well. It says here authorities will have to organize emergency rescue teams to provide food, medical supplies, and protection against radiation. Once again, show how hard it is, how difficult it is after an attack to actually survive. And they say, according to a preparatory document, there's a need to prepare for an escalation of war, including a global conflict involving nuclear powers. And they're going to have to work on a permanent relocation involving an internal population transfer of an unprecedented scale. So you're going to tell the population, hey, 70% of you have to move to Siberia or the Arctic or somewhere where the bombs didn't drop, and look how horrible that is. So all that's going to be included here. And it says, meanwhile, Putin is going to practice. He's going to move into one of his nuclear bunkers to escape the simulated Armageddon that's going to go on. So he's going to be doing that. To give his part, is this a false flag? Is this practice? Who knows, but that's happening as well, according to this article. Now, the very last thing they say basically is there's also preparations under the way for a nuclear explosion test in the Arctic Circle. So before you attack, a lot of times you do is you test your weapons to kind of say, hey, world, look at this giant test we did. We have the capability. Look how powerful it was. Back off or we're going. We're going to town first. To back that up further, we have this article here, is that satellite imagery points to an uptick in activity at the Russian nuclear Arctic testing site. This is just from a few days ago. They provided this photo here where they've got, there's large trucks, construction supplies, cranes, a bunch of stuff. They're saying all this activity, it's in the very high Arctic north of, the northern part of Russia, that this is where they test. And, all this activity is going on because they're probably going to do it again. Now, they already mentioned before in a video, and I'll put the link in the description and up here as well, that they're laying this groundwork for attacking NATO. And I did a video on this article where Russia is accusing basically the UK and the US of attacking the Black Sea Fleet headquarters. We talked about that. Mentioned this weekend on Twitter. Like I said, if you want to join, descriptions below. But Dmitry Medvedev came out and said the number of idiots in power in NATO continue to grow. It says the British Secretary of Defense decided to move UK training of Ukrainian soldiers into Ukraine. That is to turn British military instructors into our armed forces' legal targets, while being fully aware that they will be ruthlessly eliminated. So Once again, laying that basis, we're going to attack you. You put British troops in Ukrainian soil, we're going after them. We all know that'll start Article 5, cause a war, escalate, and of course, why not just do that first strike? He continues though, Dmitry. He's talking about Germany. The German Defense Committee, with an unpronounceable surname, he says, is clamoring to immediately provide Ukraine with Taurus missiles to enable the Kiev regime to hit deeply into Russia's territory to weaken the supply of our army. And he said that's with the German saying that's in accordance with international law. Well, then he says in that case, we can strike against the German plants that produce these missiles, which is also in accordance with international law. Lastly, he says, these half-wits are actively pushing us to World War III, laying that groundwork. Like I said, they're pushing us there. They're making us do it. Then on October 3rd, they tell the population, this is going to what happen if they attack us nuclear. They're making us do it. Why don't we just go first? So that's what I think, my opinion is understanding of what is going on with this October 3rd and how I think they're really pushing for this first strike and everything that comes with that. Now, what is the United States doing? Well, on October 4th, very coincidentally, or maybe not coincidentally, we're doing the nationwide emergency alert test ourselves. Now, this isn't, what Russia's doing, where they're, actually simulating an attack, getting companies, getting the military to, show the public what's going to go on. They're not building bunkers here. They're not teaching people what to do about radiation. None of that out there. We're just going to send everybody a signal on their cell phone on October 4th. Also going to be on radio and TV. It says here, like I said, at 2:20 p.m. Eastern time, wherever you're around the country, figure that out. And they're going to send you an alert test. That's basically what's going on here. A lot of conspiracy theories out there. A lot about this test. Some people are turning their phones off. Some people put them in Faraday cages. Some people think it's a signal to do something with people that got these. A lot of stuff out there. Don't have an opinion on all that. Am I going to turn my phone off? Probably not. I want to see what it is. I don't think it's going to be any kind of, one of those things happening. I just don't. Put in your comments below. What do you think? What do you think this October 4th thing? Is it just a test, just to see if it works because they might need this soon? Or do you think it's some higher octane speculation thing? Write it in the comments below. Are you going to put yours in a Faraday cage? Are you going to, turn it off? Or are you taking the battery out? Yours does that these days, which I don't think any of them do. But, right below, what do you think you're going to do that day? Or are you just going to wait till it goes off so you can see what the heck the thing says? But whatever it is, that's all the United States is doing for this in this time of war. But as you can see, escalating, building up. Russia's laying the groundwork for an attack against NATO, trying to convince their population, maybe we should strike first, going to do a nuclear test. Who knows? A lot of stuff happening. It's building. Tension's building. We got to keep doing what we're doing. Like I said, I didn't get into China and Taiwan, what's going on over there. We're into October now. Like I said, it's the best time to come across the Taiwan Straits. October, November, wintertime, this is the time. So let's keep our eye on there. And when something happens, you'll be the first to know because I'll be telling you. So until next time, keep your ear to the ground, head on a swivel.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.